Hey everyone, so in today's video, I am planning and prepping for next school year. Specifically, I am going to share with you what I have planned and prepped for my 5th grader who will be doing Curiosity Chronicles Snapshots of Medieval History. So I shared in a previous kind of planning and scheduling out my school year video, my pacing guide for my kids, and I will link that video down below. And then I'll also link a video where I show where you can get kind of a template similar to this to use if you're in need of one. But anyway, this helped me figure out how many times a week we were going to need to do each subject, in this case history, and how long it was going to, how many weeks in our school year it was going to take us. So I've mentioned before that a couple of things. Curiosity Chronicles is written as a 36-week curriculum, and we do school for 36 weeks. However, we like to finish the bulk of our main curriculum by like week 32 or 33 to give us some time for review, or if we got behind in something or something like that. So Curiosity Chronicles does give you a pacing schedule, or some suggestions for pacing schedules, and I don't necessarily love any of them, but we pretty much tweaked to we're going to be doing it 4 days a week, but each chapter we are going to do in 3 sessions. So we will, like our first week, we will finish one chapter and start the next chapter, and then the next week we'll finish that second chapter and start the 3rd chapter. So I took their 4 short sessions and changed it to 3 sessions that instead of 15 to 30 minutes are about 30 to 45 minutes. And day 1, I've combined a few things. Basically reading the chapter and doing like activity pages, timeline, map work. We do not have we did at one point have the Usborne encyclopedia, but I just didn't like it, so we got rid of that. Somewhere, I'm pretty sure I have the Kingfisher one. I have yet to decide if we're going to add that in or not, but if we do, that's where it would go. So that's going to be our day 1. Day 2, we'll be reading a supplemental book or video. And we're going to be doing the lap booking. And then day 3 will be a hands-on activity and or some writing related to what we learned. So that's just kind of how I adapted that. What I have here is my lesson plan. I'm only planning right now the first 6 weeks because that's how many weeks of school we have before we're going to take a week off for a break. So that will give me time to see if what I've planned is going to work before I plan the whole year, because I don't know how well this is going to fit our time slot. I mean, I have a pretty good idea, but every time I think I have my kids figured out, I don't. So that's partly why I'm not planning the whole year at once. The other reason is that it's just too overwhelming. So I'm going to go through week by week with you and show you what I have planned. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things. So we are going to be doing the lap booking this year. We did it last year as well for Ancient and really liked it. We are not going to use the file folders that you kind of fold so that they, open like that. We're going to use, this is just like a sketchbook that we get at Walmart. We've used them in the past for other subjects. And I just went ahead and put what we would normally put on the front of the lap books in here, and I spaced them equally so everything should fit. But this will allow us to add some other things in here if like we do some writing and I want him to have that with the section, or he does a piece of artwork related or something like that. We can kind of keep everything together. So that's that. Also, we have the book and we have the audio, and we tend to listen to the audio on our Yodo player, which I did not grab to show you, but I put the audio files on a Yodo card and we listen that way. And typically we are reading along while we're listening. So that is the plan as well this year. Last year he did Ancient fairly independently. I would like to be more involved and do this with him this year, so fingers crossed we can make that happen. All right. You may know, if you've followed me for any length of time, that I struggle with curriculums that have a million different books that you have to add in. And so when we did Ancients last year, I added in very little. We pretty much used the textbook, and occasionally I would pull in some extra books, but it overwhelms me. But this year, we owned so many of the books that they recommend as like supplements, that we are going to be adding some in. We'll see how it goes this first 6 weeks. What I'm going to show you, I'll show you what we're using week by week, but I'm going to show you the ones that we owned, or that I bought specifically for this, meaning these will be used in multiple chapters. I'm going to show you those first, and then I'll get into the week by week and other things. So there's 3 that I bought specifically because I saw that they were used in multiple weeks. So I just got these off of like Thrift Books, I think, and eBay. So the Outrageous Women of the Middle Ages, I went ahead and grabbed this one. Archers, Alchemists, and 98 Other Medieval Jobs You Might Have Loved or Loathed. And It's a Feudal World, A Different Medieval History. So these were ones that were used in more than 2 or more than 3, like multiple chapters throughout the year. So that's why I chose to purchase those. This one is as well, but I already have this one. This Favorite Medieval Tales by Mary Pope Osborne. Why is it naturally not flipping to the pictures? Anyway, this one has really pretty illustrations. So that one we already had. Vincent's Starry Night. If I'm being honest, I don't love this book, but we already had it. And like in the first 6 weeks, I think there's 1 selection. So like, I wouldn't necessarily buy this just to use, but we already had it. And I do think it adds something. And there are other chapters that you could use this with. So I pulled that. This is not a book that's like recommended or anything, but we have it. Built to Last. It has castle, cathedral, and mosque in it. So that's one that we will add in when appropriate. The Illustrated Book of Myths. This one is referenced in the teacher guide, and we already had it. Same with the Usborne Encyclopedia of World Religions. This one is referenced in the teacher guide, and we already had it. Same for this one, History Year by Year. You know the drill, we already had it. And then lastly, When on Earth. So because we already have those, I did decide to try to use them. If it proves to be too much, then I will take them out. But I will show you each week now kind of what we have planned. I lied. Before I get into that, I will likely, these are just a few examples, check out books from the library just that are generally about that time period and have these for if we need something else to read or just for him to read like at breakfast or whenever. These were a couple that I particularly liked. This Noble History of Knights, or this Illuminations one I thought was really kind of cool when we talk about like illuminated manuscripts and things. This one's kind of cool because for every letter of the alphabet, it gives you a little bit of information about something from medieval times. So books like this, we will just have as, you know, just around for him to kind of pick up on his own if he wants to, or if I need him to be busy or something. So those were just a couple examples. And then I also have some novels and chapter books and things. And so like this one, Castle Diary, my daughter read this actually a few years ago, and my son read, there's a couple that are more ancient times, and he read those at the end of this past school year. and he liked them. So I have this one. I have A Single Shard. I have Max and the Midnights. There's 3 books in this series. And I have all 3. And then I like The Inquisitor's Tale. I don't own this one. I borrowed this from the library. My thought with these, while I would love for him to be reading literature, historical literature throughout the school year, I don't know that that's really going to fit. So my thought is, like, this series, he will likely just read these in his free time. But these ones, and then also this, which is a nonfiction Weird But True book, I think that I'm going to use these in May when we have finished the curriculum and we're doing kind of a review. I thought that would be a good time for him to read through at least a couple of these, and you know, each day maybe read a little bit of this book, because I think it's pretty cool. So that's kind of my thought right now as to how I'm going to handle like novels and things. But we'll see. If I could fit one in each week, I will, but I don't want to overwhelm, and I feel like I already have a lot in here. So, all right, let's jump in. All right, so as I said, I planned the first 6 weeks. I've actually planned a little further, because I planned the first 6 weeks and then I decided to change something. And what that is our very first week, I decided that we're going to do kind of an ancient history review and an introduction to kind of world religions. So that kind of threw off my schedule. I still think we'll finish in 32 weeks. We may push right over into 33, but it will be fine. But why I decided to do that is we've done religion in the past a bit, but he was younger, and I feel like we didn't talk about it much in Ancients. I mean, other than when it was mentioned in the text, I didn't do anything extra. And I thought this might be a good time. And because this book and this book are both referenced in medieval times, I thought, you know what, let's do that, but let's go back and start kind of at the beginning of this book before we jump into the sections that are marked for Curiosity Chronicles. So that's what I'm going to use that first week for. Same with like this myth book. This is reference. This was used in Ancients too, but we didn't use it. So I thought, well, let's start at the beginning in that first week and get kind of an introduction. And then I marked a few myths that we could read kind of in that first week, or he can just pick some. And then in here, I think I marked, well, we're using this in chapter 5, but I think I marked, yeah, that we would start with like past religion and do a little bit of that in that first week. And then I also thought, since we have these 2 books, that we could use them again during that first week to kind of go back and look through ancient times a little bit. Are we going to read every single page? No, but we will read a lot of them. And I just thought that would be kind of a good refresher review. I mean, his memory of ancient times is pretty good, especially because we did a review at the end of the year. But I don't know. I just thought this would be kind of a gentle way to kind of launch into our new school year. And so same with this book, going back and going through some of these pages. So I added that in before we officially start chapter 1. Okay, so I forgot this DK book that we are going to use as well. I have marked a page that I thought would be good when we do chapter 5, but I want to do some of these other pages as we do work through world religions a little bit, like an intro to world religions during our first week. So I do have that book listed here. I forgot. We're going to be using that too. Again, we already had it, so. And so the way I this particular week is different than most of our other weeks. So I just have, we're going to do ancient history review and an intro to world religions. That's just 3 of the 4 days. I'm not marking that we're going to read a certain number of pages, other than I marked some sections. We'll kind of each day decide what we're going to do. The 4th day of that first week, we are going to, in the When on Earth, I think this was recommended in the Teacher Guide for Curiosity Chronicles, and that is to kind of preview this timeline of basically what we're going to be doing this year. So we're going to do that on the last day of that first week. And then we're going to set up our Minecraft world. And I saw this on Facebook, in one of the Facebook groups. Where did I put it? They had a box of like the Minecraft challenge cards where they took the building challenges from the teacher's guide and they put them on little cards and they put them in a box. I was going to put mine in a box, but I didn't have a box. And then I thought I could put them on a ring. And then I was like, oh, I have this. I'll just put them all in here. So this first week, the last day, we'll get our Minecraft world set up. So then we're ready for chapter 1 to do the Minecraft build. So we're going to use that. Okay, so that's what our first week is going to look like. Oh no. Okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. The parrot's fine. Okay, so that's what our first week is going to look like. Week 2, we will jump into chapter 1. So for each of the chapters in the book, I went ahead for the first 6 weeks and put together a packet of the papers that I'm going to need for that week. So for chapter 1, I have our timeline pieces. We just used the timeline notebook from School Nest. We've used it. He started a new one last year for Ancients. We'll continue it for Medieval Times. And then I have our lapbooking pages. And then what else do I have in this pack? This was an activity page from the teacher guide, or the student activity book rather, that we will do. The map work. And then we're not going to do the crossword. I just had printed that before I knew exactly what I was doing. We will do the vocabulary from the student activity page, but I just printed it differently because I don't like how it looks in the student book. I feel like it's hard to read everything. So he will cut out the definitions and match them with the word. So anyway, I'll go into more detail, but I have a packet like that for each week that I've planned to save myself some time. Okay, so what we're doing kind of each day of the week is pretty much the same, like it follows the same pattern. So the activity for day 1 is to read and listen to the chapter. We're going to discuss the comprehension questions a lot of the weeks. A few weeks here and there, I will have him do the actual write out the answers. But I feel like we're going to get more out of doing them orally, at least in the beginning. And then he will do the timeline, the vocab, and the map work. And then I also have on here that we're going to do that handout that I showed you, the Justinian law versus modern law. Okay. So day 1 of a chapter will always be these things. Day 2 for chapter 1 will be our supplemental books or videos, and he'll do the lapbooking pages. So here I linked a video that I want him to watch called Justinian and the Byzantine Empire. And I have the link so that I can just click it from my iPad. And then he's going to read the marked pages in It's a Feudal World, Vincent Starry Night, and a book from the library, The Byzantine Empire. And actually I think I'm going to there's a couple others in this series that I thought looked good. But this one in particular has a picture of this mosque, which will be in the Minecraft build. So I thought that would be good. And it has a little bit about it. But the book in general, I like. It's pretty accessible as far as the amount of reading. And I like the illustrations and all of that. So and that's what he has for day 2. And then he'll do the lapbooking pages when he's done with that. And then, let's see. The 3rd day that week, it's actually day 7 of the number of days we're doing this curriculum. that third day of the chapter will always be the activity, an activity and or a Minecraft build, and possibly writing if we're going to do it. So for week 1, he's going to use the race strategy to answer one of the what do you think questions, which are in the teacher's manual. So I think that the what do you think questions kind of lend themselves to using the race strategy, in my opinion. We'll see. As we get into it, maybe I'll find out that I was wrong. So here for chapter 1, after the comprehension questions, which we will do orally, there's 2 what do you think questions. So he'll pick one of those and do just a short, paragraph or a few sentences using the race strategy, which I've talked about in previous videos, to answer that question. He will also then be watching a video about that particular mosque, and then he can complete the Minecraft challenge. Number 1. And so this has kind of the assignment here that he's supposed to do. That is the 3rd day of our week. The 4th day, we go ahead and start the next chapter, which is chapter 2. And again, it follows the same pattern. So let me show you what we have for chapter 2. The first day, read and listen to the chapter. This is the same. I'm not adding anything in here. The second day for chapter 2, I have him reading marked pages in the Archer's Alchemist's book, It's a Feudal World book, and Favorite Medieval Tales book. Be day 1, he has his timeline, he has his map, and I made a vocabulary sheet for him to do the vocabulary. Sorry. Okay, so then day 2, he's going to read these selections in those books that I've marked, The Archer's Alchemist and 98 Other Medieval Jobs, It's a Feudal World, and Favorite Medieval Tales. And then he's going to do the activity page. Well, we'll do it together. The Who's Who in the Medieval World. And then he'll do his lap booking pages, which, again, I already have in this pack. And then day 3, I do have a project in mind. So here's the thing. I don't want to do a lot of these projects because sometimes I feel like it takes away from, it's not going to help in his retention or understanding of what we're learning a lot of the time. I'm not against having a little bit of fun, but I want to choose wisely. But I do think that this one is informative and he'll enjoy it. And it's in the teacher's guide. There's a designing a flag, I believe is what it's called. Let's see. Let's look. Yeah. So it's design your own flag here. What I did was I found a book at the library. Surprise, surprise. So I chose this book. We're going to do a couple projects from here. I looked at this one, I looked at this one, and I looked at this one. Ultimately, I chose this one, and I'll show you this one in a minute. This one I decided against because we've done some projects from here in the past, and this one has a lot more reading that goes with it, and we don't need to add any more reading, so I got rid of that one. This one, I don't know, just didn't do it for me, and it seemed like it skewed a little bit younger. This one seemed like just perfect for what we need. There's like 3 projects in here I'm considering, and this particular flag one, we have this, what's it called? The Field of Honor. And so it talks about shields and flags in this little right up here. I like that this is very kind of colorful. I like to have something very visual that I can kind of use as our jumping off point, as opposed to just like this. I don't know why, but that's just the way my brain works. So this book we borrowed, and we will use this for a couple of projects, but that will be the activity that we do. And then again, there is a Minecraft build for chapter 2. All right, so that's chapter 2. Chapter 3, again, is set up very much the same way. So let's see. So chapter 2, we finished here in week 3. And so for the last 2 days of week 3, we're starting chapter 3. All right. Oh, I need to erase that. That That's in the wrong spot. But anyway, ignore that. Okay, so first day, same. We're listening to the chapter, we're discussing timeline, vocab, map work. Except that this particular week, I have him doing the questions. He's writing. He's doing the vocabulary on here. He's answering the comprehension questions on here. So that's the only difference. We won't, I have discussed, I should probably cross that off, but we're not actually discussing them. He's going to do them in writing. The next day is our supplemental books and videos day and our lap book pages. So again, I have a couple of videos for him to watch about the Grand Canal and the Great Wall. Let's see. And then I did pull a couple of books from the library. Oh, here's the lap book pages. I've got his timeline pieces, his lap book pages, and map work and questions. But I did get a couple books, or I borrowed them now. I'll have to borrow them again closer to the time. A couple of books from the library that I think, one book from the library. So this one this is Following the Great Wall. This is just a nice visual of the Great Wall of China. It unfolds. It's really long. It's not necessarily like for this particular time period, but I still think that will be good. And I have this from the library that if he wants to read, he can, but I don't have it scheduled in here. But the book that I do have scheduled in here is called China Through Time, 2,500-year journey along the world's greatest canal. And I really enjoy this book. I think we will use this for a few chapters. I like that it's got this nice map here that really kind of shows, the rivers and how they connected them. Goes through construction, and then there's just little things on the side that they can look for, kind of like an I Spy. It's not all going to fit in the frame, but you can see. So this covers the time period we're reading about, but then obviously it's through time. So it goes all the way to the end of the canal, Beijing, in 1910. So that one is one of our supplemental books that we're going to read here on the second day of chapter 3. And then the last day of chapter 3, we're going to do a STEM activity. It's it's kind of in the teacher's guide, but I'm going to adapt it. It's not called this, but we're going to do like a water transfer activity. I think in the teacher guide, it's like a build a canal kind of thing, but it's the same premise. And then again, we have the Minecraft challenge card number 3. And that is there, he would build the Grand Canal. And then I have extra book. That's where I have this listed. So I will have this if he wants to read more, or again, if I need him to be doing something. That's kind of my thought on that. Moving on to chapter 4. Are you bored yet? Are you following? I feel like I am all over the place. Okay, not moving on to chapter 4. I lied. When we finished chapter 3, then I scheduled one day for a review of chapters 1 through 3. So what we're going to do for that is use the little fortune teller things that they give us in the student activity materials, and then any supplemental books that I brought in from the library that specifically relate to chapters 1 through 3. We can spend some time looking at those if we haven't gotten to them yet. And then I would like to do some writing. So I just have, after oral review, using fortune teller, compose paragraph comparing 2 topics from different chapters, geographic locations, or time period, or something like that. So that's what we're going to do there. And I will likely have him use the write by number method, the like a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3 paragraph, if you're familiar with write by number. We don't follow write by number, but I did do a trial of it to kind of see. And I liked that part of it. We did a little bit with that. So I think that would be good for that. So, all right, now chapter 4. Pretty much the same for the first day. We're reading, we're listening, and we have our map work. I have a vocabulary sheet for him. We'll do the comprehension questions verbally. He's got his timeline pieces. And yeah, that's pretty much that for chapter 4 on day 1. Day 2, I've got a video linked called The Great African Kingdom of Axum. He's got some assigned reading. These are different than most of our other ones, so let's see. I found this book at the library. It's A Welcome in Axum, and I just thought that this would be a nice little book to read. There's not a lot about like books to support this chapter. Not a lot about Ethiopia specifically. So I thought that would be nice to add in. And also, this was one recommended in the teacher guide, and this is 1001 Inventions and Awesome Facts from Muslim Civilization. I marked just one spread for him to read through. It's 15 Rich Facts About Trade and Money. So I thought that would work well. Okay, so this book I borrowed from the library, and I'm trying to decide if I want to purchase it or if we can just borrow it from the library, but I really like it. It's called Human World by Wide Eye Books, and I marked 2 sections in here for him to read, but on this particular day, I think he's doing A Brief History of Money, and then the following day for our activity, we're going to read this, The Origins of Writing. But there's a lot of good pages in here that I think would be fun to just read little bits with other chapters too. It starts kind of in ancient times and then moves forward. But we'll see if I'll likely just borrow it from the library when we need it. But I just saw, I think I need to add this brief history of books as well to the page about writing. So 2 spreads on the second day here, or the last day, I'm sorry. Because we're going to be talking about the illuminated manuscripts, which they show within the chapter. They don't talk a ton about it in the chapter, but at any rate, so there's a video that I've linked called Making Manuscripts, and then we'll read those 2 spreads from the Human World. And then I also, even though this is like, you know, European, I forget where this takes, in Paris. I love this book. I think the illustrations are just so beautiful. So we're going to read that anyway. And then I will bring back in that activity book. And again, this is mentioned in the teacher's guide as well, to do a, where is it? To do like a nameplate or something, an illuminated name card. But again, I just like that there's a little bit of text I can read to him, and then we can do the activity here. So that's our activity, and then his Minecraft challenge. Now, this may be too much for this day. This is why on these activity days, I sometimes have an activity and like a Minecraft. We may have to pick. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work, but I put them there and I planned for them so that we're ready to go if we can do them both. There won't always be like a hands-on activity though on that day. Some weeks will just be Minecraft and maybe some writing. And also, I reserve the right to change my mind and change this lesson plan, but as of right now, that's what it's looking like. All right, so then we're moving on to chapter 5. And again, I have our packet of information here. He's going to be doing the vocabulary and comprehension questions in writing with the sheet that comes in the student activity guide. That's all for the first day of that chapter. And then the second day, I've got a book for him to read. This was recommended in the teacher guide. This is Muhammad. So he will read that. And let's see. I have a video, how Islam began. So that's it for the second day of the chapter. The third day is the building challenge, and we will be doing the writing assignment from the teacher guide. So I just liked this particular writing assignment that they had in there. So this says, in Muhammad's day, most Arabs were merchants. They made money by traveling back and forth across vast deserts carrying valuable trade goods. But the Arabs could have never made it across the desert without help. The Arabian horse and dromedary single-hump camel originated on the Arabian Peninsula. The Arabians selectively bred these animals. Okay. Basically, it says, write up a short report about what you've learned about the two animals. You're going to research them and answer the questions. If you were a desert merchant, would you rather ride a camel or a horse? So I thought that would be a good writing assignment, and I'm going to use it as an opportunity to teach him a little bit, an introduction of how to use a library database, specifically EBSCO we're going to use. Very, very gentle introduction. He doesn't use the internet a lot. So anyway, and then there's the Minecraft building challenge. So that is chapter 5. And that takes us, let's see, we will start, that's week 6. As I mentioned, I started to plan ahead a little bit, but I'm only going to talk through week 6. So we will start chapter 6 during week 6. Eventually we will get ahead. The chapters will be higher than the week number, but so chapter 6, I have my pack, the timeline pieces, the map, and a vocabulary sheet for him. So that will be the first day that we do that chapter. The second day, he's going to be reading marked pages in the Outrageous Women book and in the 1001 Inventions and Awesome Facts from Muslim Civilizations book that we used in chapter 4. I also have a spread for chapter 6, actually a couple spreads. He's going to read about glass, architecture, and pottery, and just art and design art and design. I don't think I have him marked to do fabric. Anyway, so those spreads I thought went well with what's in this chapter. And then he is either and then also have the Built to Last book, the section about the mosque. Now, this is pretty long, so he's not gonna be able to read this whole thing. But we can look through and look at the pictures and read little bits here and there of it, because the Minecraft challenge is to the Dome of the Rock, which is here, you can see. So they'll be building that mosque, so I thought that was a good tie-in. And I like specifically that in this book, this Built to Last book, the mosque is a separate book, I think. I just happened to get this one a few years ago that had all 3 buildings in it, but I like that this one talks about stained glass, and it talks about, somewhere in here, mosaic tiles. It goes into like the calligraphy. So I think that all of that is really good, and I can't find the pages where it talks about the mosaics. Oh, here we go. And the tiles and stuff. So anyway, we've got that. And then again, I have the last project from that book that I think we will do, which I don't know which one we're going to do, if we'll do them at all, but there's a mosaic tile and like a stained glass tile. So we could do one of those and kind of read this little write-up right here. Again, this book is more Eurocentric, but we can apply it, so it's fine. And then that's it, right? Then we have our review of chapters 1 through 6. We'll use that fortune teller activity. I just found a typo. We'll review chapters 1 through 6, do an oral review, and then again, he will have a small writing assignment, a paragraph, nothing fancy, not an essay or anything, and then any supplemental books we can read on that day as well. And then I will carry on. We'll see how this goes. I will assess, was this too much? Do I need to just go back to reading the textbook and answering the questions? I don't know, we'll see. I like everything that I pulled together, and I think it will work, but we will see. I think I forgot to mention his lap booking pages, obviously, which he will do on the second day of the chapter. Sorry, this is a lot for my brain to kind of put together and tell you about. Clearly, that's not my strength. But hopefully you could get something from this video that will, could help you. But that's kind of my plan, and that's what I've planned and prepped so far. And then, like I said, I will make adjustments as we get into this and I see how it's working. Likely, if I had to guess, we may have to pull out some of the supplemental reads, but we'll see. And likely we will pick one or the other on activity day, either the Minecraft build or, the actual like hands-on like craft type thing. But again, I don't think we're going to have a lot of those. There just happen to be 3 within the first 6 chapters, but I don't think as the year goes on, there's going to be a ton that we're going to want to do, but we'll see. But at any rate, I think that's everything I have. Thank you if you made it to the end of this video. In fact, if you made it to the end, put a frazzled emoji in the comment because that's how I feel. That's all I have. I hope you were able to follow some of it. I hope it was useful in some way. If you have questions, let me know down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you down in the comments.